Towards the end of the original Dragon Ball Z anime series, things were just getting crazy. Majin Buu was destroying the universe, Gohan had just attained a new power and was seemingly defeated, and it seems like Goku and Vegeta were destined to be fused together. But we were actually given a brand new movie, and truly this is one of the more cinematic Dragon Ball Z movies, and it's also the last of the original 13 films. That is until the epic release of Battle of the Gods in 2013. The last of the original Dragon Ball Z films tries to differentiate itself a lot from the previous ones in the series, and it does so by introducing a ton of brand new characters who frankly are just as interesting as the main cast and make this movie work as a whole. So let's just go ahead and dive into Dragon Ball Z Wrath of the Dragon. So as much as you'd like to think that this film is maybe about Goku, Gohan, or Vegeta, it's really not. This movie is all about Tapion, this warrior from an ancient planet known as Konauts. Now, you actually get to learn a lot about the history of this character throughout the film. The film actually opens up with Gohan and Videl sort of patrolling the city as Saiyaman and the Great Saiyawoman. And I gotta say, I love watching these two together. I know they're cheesy and it's supposed to just not be taken that seriously, but honestly, I could have dealt with an entire movie just about these characters. I just think it's really funny, and I just like seeing them interact. But I'm going off on a tangent here. You see, we are introduced to our main antagonist of the film by the name of Hoi. And Hoi essentially is the Bobbity of this movie. He's the evil magician or wizard. If you can't tell he's evil, just look at his face. So when Gohan and Videl meet Hoi, he has this mysterious music box, which he claims holds an ancient warrior by the name of Tapion. But you can pretty much tell he's lying. Essentially what happens is they're able to summon the dragon and they're able to open up this box, which releases not only Tapion, this ancient warrior, but it also releases the lower half of this giant demon by the name of Hirudegarn. Confused yet? That's okay. You see, Hirudegarn is sort of the main thread of this movie, and as it goes on, you get to learn a lot more about his past as well as Tapion's. Now, when Tapion is released from this music box, he is pretty pissed off. There's a reason he was sealed away, and he doesn't really want to associate himself with anybody. Oddly enough, Trunks is enamored by Tapion, and that happens to be one of the main things of this movie, is you get to see Tapion essentially sees Trunks as his little brother. But who is Tapion's brother? Well, as the film goes on, you learn about the history of Tapion, his planet, and what happened to it. So apparently at some point in the past, Tapion was living on the planet with his people, and they were invaded by these dark wizards known as the Kashvars, and this is of course the group that Hoi was a part of. Now, they were able to find this giant statue known as Hirudegarn, which they were able to bring it to life. And Hirudegarn is a friggin' beast. He's easily one of the strongest movie villains of all time, and don't be fooled by his size. With his ability to teleport and jump all over the place, he's a really dangerous opponent. Tapion and his people try to fight back, but Hirudegarn just proves to be too much. Through the use of a magical sword and some ocarinas... No, not those ocarinas. Tapion and his brother are able to cut Hirudegarn in half and seal both of his halves inside of these magic musical boxes, at the cost of them being sealed inside as well. We get to see that years later, Hoi is able to find one of the music boxes, and he's able to open it, and he releases Tapion's younger brother, as well as the lower half of Hirudegarn, who quickly dispatches of Tapion's brother. This is actually a pretty dark scene, and is what sets up the entire movie. We finally get what all Dragon Ball Z fans want, which is a lot of action. Now, we eventually get to see that the lower half of Hirudegarn is slowly just taking out people all over the city. It's actually very similar to Cell, as he's able to absorb people's bodies. Eventually, though, it finally gets to that point where Hoi is able to release the other half of Hirudegarn, and he is able to transform into his full monstrous body, which he goes through two forms in classic Dragon Ball Z fashion. His first form is really creepy looking, and honestly, I prefer it to the second form, if only for the fact that it's very unique looking and just creepy. I love the giant skull face and the big massive arms and everything and that giant tail. Just a really slick looking monster. But as the film goes on, we get to see that he goes into his second form, which honestly just looks kind of strange to me. It's just a big bug thing. You can definitely tell by looking at it that it was designed by Akira Toriyama, but that doesn't save the fact that, frankly, I just like his first form a lot better. Honestly, though, the action here is all really good. You think that an opponent of this size wouldn't make for very decent animation, but the fight scenes are actually really good. Like I said, he's able to teleport all over the place, and all of our characters have a really tough time with him, even Goku. After a lengthy battle, some ocarina music, and Trunks getting able to use Tapion's sword, which happens to be something of an important plot point, by the way, Goku is able to transform into his Super Saiyan 3 form and takes on Hirudegarn directly. This is easily the highlight of the movie, and honestly where I'm guessing the Wrath of the Dragon title comes into play, because Goku is able to finish off Hirudegarn with one punch. He's able to use the Dragon Fist technique, where he's essentially summons this giant golden Shenron who can just plow through anything. This is honestly one of Goku's coolest techniques, and I think they even use it in Dragon Ball GT, but frankly I don't give a shit. Now, throughout the entire film, Tapion has had this sword, which looks extremely familiar. If there's any fans of Future Trunks out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And at the end of the movie, we get to see that Bulma gives Tapion a time machine so that he can go back to his planet, and before he leaves Trunks his sword in memory of his brother. And I really like this because, one, obviously it's a nice allusion to the fact that Future Trunks has a sword. It just sucks that we frankly aren't going to be able to really see him use it anytime soon. And, I mean, this Trunks is nothing like the actual Future Trunks. I mean, in all fairness, their characters and personalities are pretty different. They really are two different characters, but still, it's a nice nod to the entire series, and it did give me a little bit of goosebumps. So, there it is, Wrath of the Dragon. Was it a good Dragon Ball Z movie? I'd say so. Like I said, it features a lot of the elements you love in Dragon Ball Z. All of the action is there, there's a good bit of comedy sprinkled in, all of the monster designs like Hirudegarn look pretty cool. Hoi is kind of a stock villain, and I don't really have too much of a problem with him, especially because Hirudegarn just ends up stomping on his ass, but still kind of saw that one coming. Like I said, he's very similar to Babidi. It was only a matter of time before the monster turned on its creator. Tapion himself is the one who drives this movie. He's definitely got that classic Akira Toriyama design, and I kind of wish they could have let him use his sword a little bit more and maybe explained how that stuff really works. But, you know, a lot of the backstory is really nice, and the animation is pretty good too, so I really don't have too much complaints with this movie. It's just sort of the perfect middle ground for Dragon Ball Z. I'd say it's maybe in my top 5 Dragon Ball Z movies at this point, but after seeing Battle of Gods, it's just not fair. I love Battle of Gods. That movie's freaking golden. But still, I think if you're a fan of the series and you haven't checked out Wrath of the Dragon, I think it's at least worth a watch, because it's a lot of fun. It's got some really cool characters, some great character design, pretty good action, lots of comedy, little bits of fan service, and it was definitely a great ending point for Dragon Ball Z at the time. Now that Battle of Gods has been released, and we've already done our first impressions of that, make sure and stay tuned. We are going to do a much more full, in-depth review of Battle of the Gods, which will be a little bit more similar to these videos, but we hope to make it even more entertaining than those, so we can't wait to go over that one. And due to the success of these reviews, a lot of people have been asking if we're ever going to check out a lot of the other Dragon Ball Z specials, such as like the history of Trunks and Bardock, the father of Goku, Goku and his friends, and all that other spin-off stuff, and even some of the original Dragon Ball movies. And I imagine that we will definitely get to those eventually. However, I just want to go ahead and formally announce that after this project, we are going to take a little break with these movie reviews. And we're actually going to get ready to start doing the Naruto movie reviews very similar to this. So make sure and stay tuned for those in the near future. We'll probably have those ready for you starting in December. So make sure and stay tuned for those. But there it is, guys. This has been one hell of a journey, and I love these movies. They're just so much fun to watch. So there it is, guys. Wrath of the Dragon. Pretty awesome Dragon Ball Z movie. But how do you guys feel about it? If you have seen Dragon Ball Z Wrath of the Dragon, let me know what you thought about it. You can let me know with your comments below. Remember, guys, before you leave, make sure and give this video a thumbs up. Absolutely one of the best ways to support our videos. And make sure and check out the description box below for links to all of the other Dragon Ball Z movies that we have already reviewed. They're really awesome. Thumbs up and subscribe. So, I will see you next time, guys.